Okay, welcome, introduction 93. Now, this is very interesting. We posted this 2 or 3 days ago, and a lot of the paraphrasing was bad. I don't want to mince words here. A lot of it you completely missed the point, and it wasn't effective at all. So I'm going to talk about that. Now, the particular aspect I'm talking about, at best, at worst. People were trying to paraphrase these. You may have seen some of my comments in the group. A few of you changed your introductions accordingly, but these are superlatives. The best, the worst. And some of the options that some of you were trying to use did not work at all. Completely inappropriate, and they just didn't work. Very unnatural, and you wouldn't get a very good score using those kind of synonyms. So, opinion: alternative forms of medicine. At best, they're ineffective, and at worst, they may be dangerous. So, here's some of the things that you could use. I'll just leave that there so you can see it. Don't need to read it out. So I disagree. Some treatments are effective. Traditional medicines are equally as capable of causing harm. I do have a sample essay which I've just written now to illustrate this point, and we'll take a look at that in a second. So alternative medicine is currently increasing in popularity. Now, you can see at best are ineffective. I changed it to are not as effective. So that works quite well there. Okay? Instead of saying at best are ineffective, they're not as effective, and may in fact cause harm to the patient. So that's one way you could do it. And then the same sort of view, in my sort of view, blah, 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 blah. Now, what I did here, because it says, at best, these methods are ineffective. So I say they're not as effective, they may cause harm. And here I say are ineffective at best. So all I've done is I've simply changed the word order, which works perfectly well, and that's better than using something that doesn't work. So, ineffective at best, possibly dangerous at worst. Okay, so you can see those there. Oh dear. Excuse me. So, sample. So this is 299 words, and we've put some vocab here in bold, which you might be able to use. So that's the introduction that we just had a look at. Not as effective, it may in fact cause harm, and I could even use that second one, and that would work as well. So, alternative medicine is a broad label and may include acupuncture, blah, blah, blah. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm focusing. Okay? So, all essays start off broad, but you have to move to a focal point to best prove your point. So what you might have to do, as I've done here, is define your key terms. What does alternative medicine mean? Well, here, I'm talking about acupuncture, Chinese medicine, blah, blah, blah. But then I take a particular case, acupuncture. So I've now focused. So in the West, they've been using it to ease back pain and helping people to stop smoking. You can get these little acupuncture needles, you put it in your ear or something. I haven't tried it personally, but still. So, main idea, alternative medicine includes blah, 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 to consider this particular case. A recent survey showed, etc., etc. Okay? So that works quite well. So I'm saying some alternative treatments are effective. So I'm saying, well, in this particular case, acupuncture, it does work well. Then, some traditional medicines are equally capable of causing harm. And what I talk about here is antibiotics. One reason why doctors don't prescribe them much these days is because people become, well, no, not people. The superbugs become immune because too many antibiotics are being prescribed, so they're less effective. So that could cause serious harm because antibiotics would not work. Now that's a traditional form of medicine. Okay, use antibiotics. So that's what that talks about there. I mean, I do know the medicine themselves are not specifically causing harm, but by being less effective, they may allow harm to occur. Because it's kind of a tricky question, this one. But anyway, you can see the point there. Then, conclusion, both sides, blah, blah, blah. And then I've put a recommendation at the end. You can do that if you wish. 299 words. Okay, that's good. So you can scroll down, take it slow. You can have a look at this and see the vocab and see the structure, etc. Now let's have a look at yours now. Generally, alternative methods of medicine methods have gained popularity among people. We don't need an article. Now, about merits and disadvantages related to this matter. Merits and disadvantages. Well, it doesn't really say that, really, does it? Specifically says, at best they're ineffective and at worst they may be dangerous. So, and then, I'm not really sure what that means, where this essay is going. A considerable amount of these processes. What processes? What are you talking about? This is not very, very clear at all. At the present time, people tend to take medicines in various unconventional types. So, unconventional is good, alternative, but it still doesn't say kind of ineffective or best. So, you've mentioned one, that they could be ineffective, but you haven't said anything about harmful, because if we go back to it, so again, alternative forms of medicine, at best they're ineffective and at worst they may be dangerous. So you talk about they may be ineffective, but you don't say anything about they may be dangerous. And this, some of the traditional medicines of living pains can be beneficial. Well, yeah, but it's you'd have to do something like I did there and say, okay, well, some of them are effective, right? And however, though, traditional medicines are equally as capable of causing harm. So I've gone down that particular route there. Okay, so that's not too bad, but needs to be a little clearer. Now, recently alternative methods are generally preferred. Well, it doesn't really say that. I mean, it does say, in fact, increasing in, there's a trend. So it's not the same as preferred, it just says a trend that more people are using them. Now, this is what I had an issue with. I did mention this in the group, to be optimistic and pessimistic. Well, that's not quite the same thing, is it? At best, they may be it doesn't say useless, it just says ineffective, which is not quite the same. They could even cause harm. So be optimistic and pessimistic, it's not quite the same. So, again, you've got to watch, you're paraphrasing. A tendency among the public to use substitute forms, I should change that, substitute forms, because it's abstract, of medicine. Substitute forms, is that the same as alternative? Possibly. But completely inadequate at best and may be troubling at worst. So it's not too bad. Inadequate, not too bad for ineffective, may cause harm, be troubling. It's not as strong as causing harm, but okay. But the main thing, using these types of medicine is the most essential. Now, essential causes. I'm not quite. I think I get you. You're meaning that these alternative types of medicine cause morbidity and mortality, but essential causes that doesn't collocate. Significant causes, maybe, but essential, no. That doesn't really work. Alternative medicine is popular. Well, okay, it doesn't quite say that. These sorts of are similarly inefficient at best. Okay, that's not bad. The worst cases lead to jeopardize. Well, you can't lead to. They can jeopardize, but they don't lead to. It can lead to a jeopardy, but they can't lead to jeopardize. So that's not too bad, but it could be reworked a little. This doesn't really tell me much. It's a little bit short. Practicing, okay, not only do we not work effectively, also they are harmful, as we will discuss here. Well, okay, it doesn't really tell me a lot, as I said in the group. Just tendency for the usage of alternative medicine. Again, I don't know where this optimistic view, well, that's not at best. Best is a superlative. Optimistic is adjective. I'm not optimistic person, I'm pessimistic. They're adjectives, it's not a superlative. Bound to be hazardous. So, hazardous, causing harm, it's not quite the same thing. It's close, slightly close. It's just this optimistic and pessimistic. But therapy should choose. You mean should be chosen, because it doesn't choose itself, really, does it? Prior to use of is improvement by scientists. Okay. Alternative treatment seems possible. 10 minutes is possible. Right. Now, I don't know who wrote it about some controversy or some argument. As I mentioned before, we don't use that, because that's in my post, phrases to avoid. So, as been a topic of interest and concern, well, didn't really say that. Why I opine that these kinds of medications would be enforceable. It's just, to a native reading this, it immediately stands out as I've no idea what you're talking about. I think these kind of medications would be enforceable. What does that? I mean, I understand what enforceable means, but in this context, I don't really know. So that needs a bit of reworking too. Tendency, if it be dangerous at worst. Okay, okay, right now that's better. Okay, I think we've got the best till last. So let's have a look. Where are we? Okay. So, alternative medicine use, a common trend, ineffective at best, dangerous at worst, or are not as effective as, in fact may cause harm. You could do that instead. Not pessimistic, optimistic views. Okay, so you can read the essay, you can scroll through it nice and steady, you can have a read, you can pause. In fact, I can maybe get it all on one screen if you can see. It might be a little bit small there. But okay, so that's the example for you to have a look at. In fact, I can probably make it a little bigger. Okay. It's a little better. Okay, I'll leave that there. You can have a look at that. Okay, right. Excellent. So, I posted task 1. I'm going to be taking a look at that a bit later. So, we'll talk about that soon. Okay, I'll see you in the group.